Welcome back to Nightingale's Motorcycles, Metal Finishers, Restorers. Thursday, not Wednesday night, my fault. So I think we are going to move them to Thursday nights now because everything seems to go down on a Wednesday with different people coming in. So it's back on the TLR200s, plus a mixture of things, plus some comments I'm going to read out. Back on the frames, some ceramic coating. As usual, I'm trying to keep it a bit light. And at the same time, for those who aren't into TLR200s or RTLs on a Monday night, it's just trying to give you some idea what's in and a bit of an interest. So we'll have a look and then I'll get the comment sheet out and have a quick look at them as well. Right, so good one, this one. Gentleman called Brian. I don't actually know him, but thank you for watching. He does waffle on a bit. Well, I'll give you that one, I do. And I think it's just the nature of this kind of job, stood talking to yourself in a workshop. And at the same time, trying to keep an interest without a script hardly, because what you're doing is you're laying a load of parts out. You're trying to go from one to another. And when I say I've showed you in the last video, you might be new to the channel. I'm trying to catch up with people because I never look back at things with people anyway. So on other YouTube videos. So I'm just trying to get a lot in. And tonight, or this afternoon, because we're still on 12 o'clock. So I've set a few things out. See what you think. Again, TLRs, frames, bit of ceramic coating, and some tank cleaners, and a few more comments. So we'll carry on with the comments and let's go to another one. Does Rick Nightingale work for anyone else with the cylinder heads? No, I don't. That's it, full stop. I think there's about 4 or 5 people on the American sites. There's more, either these heads, either that heads. Well, the new heads what come in a format, and then I go on to them with ceramic coating. But no, I don't work for anybody. I had a job in a bike shop when I left school, and a little job after that, and since that, and then through businesses throughout the years, I do have another business. I did get up to 58 staff, so on the winding back a bit now. So no, that's the answer to that one. So the next one. Does Rick Nightingale send any of his cylinder heads for the TLR 200s to any other traders? No, I don't. Again, I don't really know any other traders. I can't honestly say. We don't really mix. I know plenty of bike restorers, obviously. Here we've got so many coming in here, but I don't really know many mechanics. But out of my Scarborough area in North Yorkshire, I can honestly say I don't know anybody, and no, I don't supply anybody. As I've always said, the heads I've bought in the past, many years ago, off other companies which sell them on eBay or anywhere else, they've all been fantastic. So the only reason is I do a bit more because of ceramic coating, and I'm into that because we don't just do single cylinder motors, we do race engines, your touring car type pistons, camshafts, valves, and specialist coatings. So I put them onto my heads just for longevity, because you've bothered to buy something with a couple of bearings and bigger cam, and it's your pride and joy. And so we had a few bits on, and I'll show you the heads in a minute. Again, some more got ready been in the process this week of getting them ready, and we do have a good delivery of them coming in. So right, another one. I noticed he had a lot of heads to one side. I think he means do I buy them in Ray-Ban? Well, I buy them in 10s or 12s. So there's 5 been done this week, and I've got another 5 coming in next week, and then we've got a big order the week after that, because though I don't, sometimes we advertise them on an internet site, but I can't say I know when we did that last. So that's it really. No, just buy them in, and there's people waiting. I don't do any shows. I advertise occasionally in a motorcycle magazine, but that's not really cylinder heads. So that's the answer to that one. And then I'll do the last one now. Oh, we've got two more. So I'll give that a shout. This is following up from one I had a couple of weeks ago. So someone with a very beady eye, leaving stuff laid around, which plenty laid around in here. Seeing the kickstart shaft mechanism, because I harp on about them all the time, you know, the ratcheting and that, and you buy the genuine cogs. Had seen the copy. Now, a lot of these, and there's some advertised on internet sites, it's nothing new, like the barrels, which is, there's a comment here. Yeah, I have done things with them. I have tried them. I tried one in one of my Golner out my own private collection 5 or 6 years ago. We've made a couple of modifications. Are we going to start selling them? Well, yeah, we might do. Or we might even incorporate them in the build of another engine. Because if they're cheaper and they're reliable, but we've done some tests. We've had a couple of problems, but could have been just unlucky. So I'll go over that in a minute. And then the last one, are the barrels a thumbs up? So at some point in a video, I can't even remember which one it was, someone was on about TLR200 barrels, or have been on about big bars and different stuff. Well, the barrels they're on about is, I'll show you them in the middle. And no, I won't be selling them. And I think they're dog shit. So that's my opinion. And we aren't going on about liners. I think the quality overall is just bad. So if I wouldn't put one on my own bike, I won't sell you it. So that's it. And I've probably had about 6 or 7 of them in, maybe 8, brand new, different places, even some from Switzerland. So it just shows you when people say they're from here, they're from there. You know, there's little outlets, and people, when they see videos like this, they do get in touch with me occasionally. Suppliers who know a supplier. So, right, so we're going to have a look what's going on today, and see what you think. As I say, the first one there, I thought that was brilliant. He does waffle on a bit. Well, bloody hell, the person holding camera now will tell you that. So I'll try and waffle on a bit more. All good fun. And see what you think of tonight's Thursday night video. Okay, so we'll have a look at a few things, and we'll move along to exhaust systems again. And one of the people who subscribes to the channel, which he sends me some great comments, and he did say, it's a pity you don't show when you did a rolling road on the exhaust. Well, it was a lot of years ago. It was exhausts I took off my bikes in a private collection from Golners, Sealy, my RS's, TLRs, and then different boxes. And not really getting at anybody. It was just at the time, and it cost a lot of money. You can imagine you're kind of booking yourself out for 6 or 7 hours, and it isn't exciting, because really what I'm trying to say is, once we get to that stage and it's venting out, no matter if it goes to my joke of a pancake and back to a size of a bloody watering can, it's on its way. You've got other issues before that. So they're all good. Let's face it, they're all good. The won things have won things for years, and they'll keep winning. So, right, so we'll go on to the cylinder heads again. These 3, well, 4, that one's going out as soon as we finish this now. That's going out. They're all going out, these. So I'm just showing you again if you're new. So what you really get with my cylinder heads is you get the billet work. Another 20 of these have come in. Some billet work for the exhaust clamp and that. If you're a subscriber, not so much a subscriber if you watch the channel, you just know me in general. You don't have to be a subscriber. We don't have many on this channel. I don't make any money out of YouTube. I don't get anything sent free. If I got anything sent free, you can we'll put it up for a bit of an auction. We'll give it to Air Ambulance. It's not a case of that. The channel never will. I always say there's more followers behind me in queuing sandwich shop. Never mind it. It never will be that. But so, and then at the end of the month, what goes by, where I say to my wife, I'm going to stop this channel. But I have met a lot of good people. I've answered many things over the phone, and we get the occasional sausage, but nothing to worry about. Not that it worry me anyway. So on this one, I always give on all of them, I give the caps and the window see-through, and we put a transfer on it now. The only reason is, like, if you were going to use, it's your preference, it's free anyway. It just puts a screening over it, so if it did get a knock, it'd hold in place. Obviously, we've got some stainless steel work, and then we've got valves, which I've done with another specialist ceramic coating. If you ever want the spec sheets on these, it is for a reason. We're trying to keep the heat retention into the cylinder head onto the piston. In some cases, a lot of race bike engines, I can't say I do it on these, you'll see coatings on the top which equivalent to the valve coating. It's a top coating, and then you'll see a side coating which is more of like a Teflon. And then into the heads, new Vitten seals. We have a look in the inlets, and then the camshaft automatically on the double bearings gets ceramic coated again with a Teflon. So you're trying to look at valves what have been coated, assembly them up. Again, you get if as I say, if you are subscribing and are looking on, it doesn't make any difference. I'll do an head and base gasket and an exhaust gasket. So you've got the steel for the end. So really, it's another thing you don't have to buy. The £350, that's it. If you brought the ceramic coating in, I mean, this customer's asked for a standard silver head and the usual bling. This customer wanted a silver billet. He wanted the black, so he sent the cover in at the same time. So I did that as a jest for him, and that's a nice factory finish. That's in still heat dispersant. It's like Teflon, but as you can see, inclusion free. Looks factory, and he wants it in that. So yeah, so the standard heads come like this, and what I do here, I do an heat transfer on the top, which gets it away from the cam. Now, if we're into big race engines, and we're really ramping them up, it's just because I do it in here, heat dispersant, like when I do the float ball. The float ball is to keep the heat coming from the barrel, stop one of the undercuffs, as you saw in the RTL video the other night when they had the Bakelite screen down. We've moved on in times, So that's it on my cylinder heads. Plenty in next week again, some more in tomorrow, and then we'll be making a few up. As I say, that's going out, and that's going out today. So usually that's the format with the grey valves done, camshaft, double bearing, stainless steel, ready to fit on your bike, and I'll put your standard TLR200, your Camel with asthma, back on steroids, and it'll still run lovely at low speeds. Many years playing with them. So right, next thing, TLR200 barrels, pattern, aftermarket barrels. Won't be using them. That's it. Don't have to ask me why. Been there, done it all. Quality pistons, 3 different types of piston, high compression piston, low compression pistons, everything, right? Dog shit. Won't be using them. I've got about 6 or 7 of them. All I'm going to use them for is painting them up now in Repsol colours, or a blue or a pastel, for my special builds. So if someone comes along, and instead of looking at a computer screen, I'll try and build up some formats with some colours. So if you're having a bike built by me, then you can have a bit of a choice. So that's that. So that's easy enough. Like the barrels here I do, where we bronze them out and we fin them up. So time we dance them on something and look good. Your hobby, your choice. So you can have what you want. So we'll go on to the next thing. Okay, so kickstart mechanisms. Right, so you can see close up the standard cogs I go on about, which ratchet out, and the spring. Again, if you're new or you're not into your TLRs or your RTLs, you'll know, or don't know, that the spring is in the middle of the engine. You don't just take the clutch cover off and it's sitting there and you've got a litre of oil and a gasket and think that's your life sorted. It's right the way down. So that's it, that's the spring what goes. And they're the cogs what ratchet out. So, will I be using them? Well, some beady-eyed who was watching in obviously recognised it and asked the question. Now, I think this was 4 years ago. The first one I put in was in a Golner of mine. I had 3 Golners in my collection. And obviously I'd ripped them down because I wanted to see, well, one of them, what was actually in a gallon. Because everyone you talk, it's got this, it's got that, and got that. Well, let's see what the technology then, and then what was in it. So there's a couple of variations, which at the time, very good, very good. Again, you've got to remember these people taking them on, like TLR200 trials bikes and KT250s. I had 5, and some with the nickel frames on, and you know, they were cabbages. They're bloody horrible things. You know, when you've got so many bikes, we're fortunate to have, and you can ride a Fantic and you can ride an Ossa, a Bulto, and you've got to remember it's what it suits you as well. You know, there's this tuck and everything else, and the balking. You're either a 2-stroke man or a 4-stroke man. So yeah, so the situation with these is, all I've actually done is replaced a couple of bits for my own thing, but I did have, and getting onto a chap in America who's used these, he's had the spring snap on these in 2 places, and he marked it up on a photograph, and I've replicated it. Now, I don't know why, but the only thing I'm saying is, because they retail for about 50 quid, I think, which is a great price, my thing is with it, just to tick the boxes, I think I've got 5 or 6 of these in, which were pretty. I bought them a long time ago. It's the new Honda genuine spring and a plate as well. So I've got them. So what all I'm thinking to do is, and this isn't getting at anyone who's selling these or any people who are selling them, all I'm doing is I'm thinking to myself, well, if you're going to tick a box, why don't I just do it while it's down? Because it's not like it's on the clutch side. It's in the middle of the bloody engine. So for 12 quid, really, because that spring could have just gone, you know, you see one advertised on the internet and it says, I bought a spring, kickstarts limp, and again, you'll be talking to family, friends, mechanic, and they say, it's easy, mate, litre of oil, gasket, we'll whip it off, it's here, and it isn't, it's inside. So that's my view on it. Again, anyone who's selling them, I think it's a good idea, great idea, and they'll have done their own work on them. So I might be doing them. As I say, for me, building something up, if it's 180 quid and it can be brought down to 50 quid or 60 quid, it's just another price costing on an engine, so it's good. But, you know, we have got one at the moment, we've got in an engine, and it's not done anything. It's got the original spring on it, it's not done anything. I've just been a bit with that one, but you can see why, for circa 14 quid. Genuine Honda stuff. But yeah, good on them. Same with chains, you know, genuine chains. So we're going to move on to something a little bit different. And then I'm going to tell you about some tank sealers, because there's some people who actually get your RTLs, your TLRs with the metal tanks and your reflexes, and you have got the rotten inside. And if you're new to what I get up to, I've been bottling my own. I'm using 2 products for chemical cleaning of tanks. So I don't just use an etcher for race bikes, fuel injection. I use a first, second, and then third as a rinse. And then if the dreaded word a tank liner's need, I do 4 and 5. But you've got to go through 1, 2, and 3 before you get to 4 and 5. Hopefully never 4 and 5. So you might have a metal tank, or you might have another bike at home, you know, a classic, or a modern bike. A lot of the modern bikes where they've gone on 50% on the side stand, and fuel has been in it all winter, we've got a tide line across it. So next stop's either fuel injection or carburation, which is that's 10 minutes down the road and it stops. So I'll start spluttering and lets you down. So right, we'll move on to the next bit. So when we talk about tanks, you know, custom tanks, this is one I've just got in, I've pressure tested it. I've got a little TL tank in over there, been sent in. Usually people buy the kits and then off YouTube, they just go down the tutorial, or else you can phone me direct. But it's 100% concentrates, it's not something diluted down. And there's instructions with it, same as the heads. You get a basic instructions, because obviously the cam height's a little bit different. So you tap it valve, you're adjusting things a little bit different, but nothing, you know. So that's the tank coming, lovely tank. I've pressure tested it today and we've got leaks around it where they've had some modifications. So that will need a liner. So what I'll have first in, it'll have my prep 1, prep 2, because 1's a degreaser, 2's an etch. And then we'll flush it out with prep 3. and then we'll put a liner in it. 2-pack liners, I don't have single pack liners. I mix them, everything in here, the products I've used for over 30 years. So I use 2-part liners, and basically because I like them, and once they're in, they're in. But you've got to do the prep first. So I'll show you them liners in a minute. So we'll get back onto something else, which is everything I show, there's some things I can't show because it's years of trying. Now, I can't say I'm always right because you never stop learning. But there's certain things like my black boxes at the moment, you know, a lot of time building it from scratch. It's on that bike. It won't be run up today, but we'll go over to that and I'll tell you about the models because it is TLR night or afternoon, day late. And I'll tell you the models. And there's other things like the carburation. It's taken me so long with the carbs, the black box, which is the brain. You can buy all these bits to stick on and what you want, but at the end of the day, you've got to get it up and running right. So I'll look over that. Some interesting stuff on the etching, which I'm hopefully going to do now in real time in a minute, and tell you a bit about it, and then take it to a machine to watch some etching instead of transfers. Before I do that, when I say don't let things, some things on the, there's a lot of things behind the scenes I've been working on, and some of them aren't new, but what they are, when if you just stand up and we'll have a look down at this to give you some idea over this little setup here, right? Because by this time someone will have scanned me and seen what it's up to or what I do. So this little machine I made up a few years ago, and what it was, we're going back to when I was 19. I'd got there was a lot of people around me who were very clever people in production racing. And if people in Scarborough, if you're in this area, you'll know, a certain couple of guys who I'm on about. And then surrounded by some good production racers and road racers. So one of the problems we worked on and I got involved in was many fours I've had, 500 fours, 400 fours, 500, everything, 750s, then on to CBXs. When I was 19, I got a 500 four, and we had it bored out. Now, I think at the time it was 605 and they had ilmenite pistons. So if you're a younger generation, they're an early car, right, on shims. A lot of younger lads will probably know what ilmenites are. So they were on that base of piston. We had them altered by an engineering company through a guideline of somebody who I was listening to then, like someone who was really into this. It always fascinated me. So after that, I went down to Earl's Court and I got a Yoshimura cam, Yoshimura exhaust system. I even got the bloody see-through cover for the points so you could see them sparking. And we put this machine through a lot of little tests and trials. And at the time, obviously not rolling roads. A guy who was into production racing, I think it was at Elvington, they went through some speed traps and we give it a run out to see what it could do. So from that, following on with my standard TLR heads and doing things, and having years in big spray plants, I'm on about multi-million-pound spray plants with £2 million a set robots and imbalances and balances and paint problems. I got in with a few people like Technology Air and who were into big time. So the idea of this is waffling on again, Rick, but I'm just trying to keep you kind in the picture. This was really for wet porting, where you're misting something in and seeing it vent out and see where it lies, where people go in and Dremel them out or whatever and start polishing stuff. It was a way of just seeing it, and I still do it today because some of the castings on machines are different when we're getting in. You can see exits, but I ain't going to go any further. But there's two parts to this, is because then I do an airflow test on something else. The situation with this is it's a product I use because it sprays out, and I always have my joke with rattle cans, but it's the only one, and these are about 90 quid a tin. That same bike at the time, what I did, it was before all this ceramic coating was even known, what actually happened was Gliptal was a winding, like a shellac. And what they did on the Indy cars as well, they used it on the crankcases because they thought that when the cars banked up at 200 mile an hour, that the pumps were getting oil starvation. So me being a young lad and listening to somebody or watching someone waffle on like now, I bought it. So I did exactly what I tell you not to do. Exhaust, pistons, all this, all at once, and strapped them all on. And that's what I did, literally strapped them all on. And everyone likes a strap on. So what it did, the Gliptal, I did the 504 casings in it on the internal. And I don't really know why, because it didn't suffer from anything as such. But I think because we made it bigger upstairs, I wanted oil movement. And the idea is, Gliptal, it's an insulator. If you put this product on now, it's like one of my piston coatings or camshaft coatings. If you have two lumps of metal and you coat one and not the other, and you put oil, it'll be down to the bottom before the other one's set off. So it's about movement. So it isn't just now I've been messing with ceramics, so it's an interest to me. So it goes a little bit over the top. So that's why I do it on them, because I do it in the workshop anyway. Longevity. So I'll tell you the next thing about this little box before we move on to some more rabbiting on. So a little bit like this as well, testing other things. And this started with going back 5 or 6 years ago with different gauzes, because as we come off different types of carburetors, and when people go on about power valves on these things and get into bore washing and all this, there was another way of thinking of this. And what I tried to convince myself was, by series of fine meshes, not these, we go down to something I strain off at about 325 mesh. So we're really ultra fine. And it's quite expensive to buy on a roll, but you've got to start off somewhere and gauge it down. And when we got onto the whole idea is, if you think of modern bikes, when you've got fuel injection in your head, and this is through another old school guy who was showing me things, you're trying to mist it in. We don't want it to come in at such a rate, like, you know, a garden can or a watering hose, you know, you want it to just mist in. So we was making stuff up to mist into the inlet and just find like a fuel injection type thing. So how it started, that was if you know the Tennessee Wongs, that there's one in for a customer, I think it's just sold now, that later one. I had one bought for me, Wong bought for me, as a present, and they had modern machines as well, and up-to-date stuff and old school stuff. I was fascinated on the billet work with them, because when you look closer, like a gas frame, I'll do you a quick drop down now. So the bike itself, so what happened was, you ride it, and there'll be many, because I think a lot of the old school boys are getting them now. You ride it and you put it back in the corner and you can't work out what's wrong with it. So they've copied the motor to like a TLR, they've water cooled it, and I think the Liffen based engines, they're fantastic for reliability. They've shoved an electric start on it, they've shoved a basic fuel injection unit on it. Now, why I say basic, someone might contradict me and say, no, they aren't, they've come on. Fair comment, they probably have, and I don't know, I'd be out my depth to say it really. But what I mean is, if you got a 4RT, I think the bloody box would cost you more than a new one would cost you. So it sat in the corner, I'd come back and I'd look at it and I think, is it gearing? I used to let people have a go on it. It's off the mark. Again, fuel injection, so you're going to say that from, you know, your conventional carburation. So it was on, off, and I couldn't get it. So then I sat down and I thought, right, what I'm going to do is, because it's actually a TLR200 water cooled, and in my head, I thought, right, we'll go back to this old school by putting it onto carburation, because the black box looked very simple. I think it may be classed as an open loop, on and off anyway, with probably some basic settings. But the men who get on them, who can ride them and put them onto top of skips, they'll ride bloody anything. I'm talking about your average, you know, having fun guy or a clubman kind of guy who wants to have a bit of fun on a reliable new machine. So I took it off and I matched it up for a carburettor, 4-stroke carburettor, by the way. And then I realised I was going to have to make float ball modifications. So then I got talking to an old guy, and he said, have you gone for the meshes and bring your mesh gauges down and try and fire it in when you get it going? And I stopped there, I sold the bike, and I never got any further. But this old school guy puts it on certain bikes like his Cubs, and he loves it. He seems to swing one carb round on a cable which fits everything from his big 500s to everything. He don't really have a jet up or down or a pilot, and he swears by the meshes. So it's a little bit more deep. It's stuff I have run on the TLRs, and I think what we'll do, it won't be next week because I'm hoping to get that one fired up again. I will show you some ideas when it's running correct. And let's just see if we feel any more after the new black box, after this, after that. And so it's just an update because I've set it up to show somebody who's coming in, and that's on wet point. But at the same time, I've created this as if we're pushing it through of air velocity. So we've measured all the air velocity, and I've also had the TLR boxes away to a proper company. So I know all the figures, and I've got all my figures here in front of me, so a bit boring, but the next one might brighten you up a bit because we're going on to the exhaust, and it was etching. Now I'm hoping to do this in real time now, and it's either going to work or it's going to be crap. So what it is, I polished one of the exhausts up off the TLR, which are for sale now, which one I went on about a few weeks ago, that it's got the big indentation around the shock. Joking aside, there's a reason for that. They're trying to get it away more. It isn't to take a Volvo truck shock absorber. There's a reason for everything, and it seems to run really nice on it. So, and at the moment, some really nice exhausts out there with the end cone people are selling, and some amazing welding. So what I did, it was in its crap format of dull alloy, and I've polished it in Canning's room, polished it all up. And I'll show you what I've done to it. Then I've got these transfers, which I'm going to try and etch now. And I'll tell you what etch I'm going to use. So when I pull the tapes, we're going to leave me with hence the etching on the exhaust. So we'll have a look at that, and then we'll move on to some Velocity Pro parts. Then a few bits happening at workshop. Another colour, which is an under HRC colour I've just finished for a gent. Then onto the frame mods. So a really good waffle today. And I agree with you, Brian. Do our bloody waffle on. Let's have a look. Okay, so what I've also done, because I'm putting out one of machines, but if I built one for you, or you wanted something done like this, there's nothing technical about it really. So what I've actually done with that exhaust, so you'll see them now. So I polished this. We'll look at the bike in a minute. I polished the front pipe because it was all, and this colour here is the same as I showed you the other day, which I was painting for these Porsche exhausts, right, manifolds. So this is on a 1000 centigrade, so we're talking hot, aren't we? So what you do with that isn't actually a resin, it's not a two-part. You spray it, again with ceramic coating, was spraying at 0.8, was filtering that I think at 150 on mesh strainers, and we're a low PSI, like about 23 PSI, well I am. So what I've done with it, I thought I'll match that colour on there, right, and then I'll do it on the end can, and then I'll polish the can. So now that looks good as it is. Now the guys over at Road, sign writers, have very kindly just stuck them on for me because I didn't want any air bubbles, and the masters of these guys in sign writing, but they've done me some more there. So if all else fails, I'll stick that back on because it looks nice. But I'm trying to do a reverse on it, so we've done a reverse cutting on the vinyl, and the idea is I'll mask this off now, we'll blast this, and then I'll pull the tape, and I want an etch left on of the under, and the RC200. So hopefully, but it might go wrong. If it goes wrong, I'll just polish it, so it's no problem. So then I got bought in a chain guard, and I thought, right, I'll get all the lines out of it and polish it up. And then I've done the same stealthy kind of there, because it's not only it's easy to wash. So I thought, it's for my own bike or bikes I build, I'll be doing all this. So they're not for sale, but if anyone wants these doing, so I've coated the inside with that. I've taken the laceration cut off the outside and some of the press marks, and give it a polish. We've stuck a label on there, so I'll mask these up now. We'll take it to the machine, and this is in real time, so we're looking at 12:42, just to show I haven't done anything in between. All I have done is I've taken some old pistons, one piston here, and I masked it off, and I've done an etch there, which gives you the feeling of it standing out. Now on that side, I've done that in vapor, so that one's mixed. That's with walnut oxide and a bit of glass, which what I use most of the time, apart from if I'm prepping for ceramic coating. Now, if you're using it on a glass, you would use probably vapor. But because we're coming off the exhaust, and I don't want it to, the idea is I didn't want to transfer on the exhaust and it melting, and again, washing off. So the thing, I don't know if it's going to work. As I say, I'm looking for that kind of grittified, but that'll be turned down to about 60 psi with 3 different medias in it, and we'll have a go at that. And then we'll wrap them, and then we'll move on to the next thing, and then the next one. So let's have a look, get them wrapped. Right, so I've got them wrapped up, and had a bit of compressed air on, so I'm going to take them to a dry blaster, and let's see if we can kind of replicate the image I've done on that piston, and go from there. Then we'll come back. We're now on 12:51, the clock says. We'll go over there, have a quick look. Might go wrong this. If not, I think I'll take it off and just go the transfer, but as usual, add a play. So let's go and have a quick look. Okay, so they're in the cabinet. Again, 3 oxides mixed, like talcum powder. We'll have a quick go, and let's see what we get. Right, we're on 12:56. Right, let's have a look. Just take them out of there. Okay, so we've had a bit of lunch. We're back. Answered the phone, what we're ringing, and peeled them off, as you just saw there, and you can have a close-up. So I put them back on the bike, and now that's an etch. And again on the chain guard, RC1. So while we're on about it, just a few things. RC1. So two models. So there's Velocity Pro, RC1, and then our Velocity Special, which is going under RC2. That's how it was always going to be, right? So we'd had lots of bikes, 5 bikes we'd built, and then decided to go over to our other name because it's parts we reproduce under the Velocity Pro space. So again, if you're having a bike hand built here in the workshop, and I do still prefer you buying your Donner bike, Camel with asthma, and then bringing it to me, because it takes out the equation, you know, £1,000–3,000 of what you've paid for it, whatever, and we start a blank canvas, or you come in and you buy parts. I said, as we mock these up, this is the new guards going on this with Velocity Pro, the RC1 200, and then the mud guards will be done. The nameplate around the other side will be an etch plate with RC1 on it when it's actually been finished, been built, or was produced in here. And then a few more of our trick bits, which I can show you now, of Velocity Pro, what we're up to. But they look really nice. And as I say, just the etch, so instead of a transfer. But if you've got any ideas with anything else, it might just give you some ideas. It's funny because there's a watcher and his wife, they're just picking up the new Honda today, well, old Honda, in its near on original format, so they'll probably be watching this now, Phil and Lynn. Now, as I've said to him, I saw him the other day before he was setting off for it, or going to set off for it today, and I said, you know, just make sure that you've got this big bunch of red flowers and petals up the stairs tonight, and foam bath. But don't just leave it for tonight. Getting a bit of blank look here. Don't leave it for tonight, because we're coming on Thursday night now, so Friday, so give it weekend, because you're going to be sat on that phone every night looking at all these bits, and me, and oh, I'll have one of them, and you know, just lay it cool. You need to, on Sunday night, you need to be thinking, I think we should renew our marriage vows, and that might put you in good stead for next week then, you see. Little tricks. Could go wrong, because you might want a frock worth about £3,000, so you're not spending out on a bike. And if you don't know what a frock is, I mean a dress. I'm getting a nod here. Shows me my age. So, right, so he'll be picking it up tonight, so he'll be all excited. So, right, we'll move on to some more Velocity Pro bits, where we're up to. And let's have a look. Right, so I said a few more Velocity Pro bits. So we're well on with the fins are done now, either with the carbon affecting, black or white. Boxes, that box is on that bike now. I've just covered this up because obviously I've got more earth coming out of it than usual. And as I say, some things I've just got to keep to myself, because I'm building bikes for people, you know, specials. That's the whole idea. And looks well, that just flash across to that RC1 now on there. Looks good, does that? Yeah. Right, so we've got next thing, the chain guard covers I was on about. So this is the stage 2. We've got a Velocity Pro on it, and then we just got to screen this off so it'll go on the next program flatter than that. But there's one on there now because we've made it out of a different material. So they're okay. As I say, we just got to put the final flare on it to kill this the lines of it off. Be a few more bits made in this as well. I'm still on the one with the we're drawing that up now for the back shocker. Some of the lads say no matter what tank and seat unit, when you got off the flare there, that part of that shocker catches the back of the legs. So some little wings on which will clip on. So they're pretty good. Our spark arresters, they're done now, which you've gone into that and seen what I do with them. Early on in the video, I showed you that tank over there. There's a TLR in the other side, that's got an hole in it. So I've bunged it for now, and I've got prep 1, prep 2. Done prep 1, prep 2. It has got an hole in it, so the tank over there, because it was thick rust, will be going onto a tank's liner, a sealer, 2-part, which I do on the internet, a tutorial on it. Again, bottled in here. We don't buy it in and put labels on it. Products that work, 100% concentrates. That's your prep 1, which is really, even for modern motorcycles, it's still fuel. You can just buy that for. Then you've got an acid, and the main thing about it is we've got a corrosion inhibitor in that as well, so it just stops a bit more flashing over. Then we've got a prep 3, which you wash it out with, but done that for years. The only reason I'm talking in this video is because that tank over there, what's in, pressure tested that today. It's had some repairs off a bobber, and that'll just have a liner in it because it is leaking. So right, the next thing on the agenda. So moving along, you've seen the Porsche exhaust on the item. Little Fantic come in, trying to show you some bits at the same time. Little Fantic 200. So I've taken that back. That's vapor. At the bottom half, it was painted black. Done that in a ceramic coating, in a satin. Again, petrol resistant. 7 or 800C, that one. Done his piston for him. Cleaned it up. Wants a ring on it. And just vapored it up. Same as his exhaust. Did one for this customer a couple of years ago. And done that, blasted it, acetoned it out, gassed it out. And I dipped that in chemical at first because it had its original factory finish on it. And sometimes they're a real pig to get off. So I dipped it first, which was a good time with these, because the amount of waste you get out the actual internal of 2-stroke, you know, over the years. So it'll breathe better now anyway. So that's ready. And then we're going to move across to the frame. Before I do that, I'll just go back onto the RC1 and just go over a few things I found. As you know, on Monday night, we've been on the RTLs. And this one, the parts have just come in last Monday. Monday just gone, sorry. It's we're servicing this up. But just to give you some idea. Now, the 86, the RTLs, they're all about 86 kg, which is amazing, really, because you look at the frames on these. I've got a few in here at the moment. I've got the Rothmans one in there. That's I've got another one in there. If you look at these frames, they're an heavy construction. And I showed on Monday night's video, if you've not watched any, the modification on the RTLs, it's a lot easier than the TLRs because we're on tube, not the pressed steel. So we will be knocking some of these out eventually. Now, whether or not you'd have that choice on an RTL, because, you know, they were a bit of a special machine. So I think if you was kind of just riding it and doing it up, you probably wouldn't, unless you were keeping it for yourself, you probably wouldn't do that to it, because you'd probably lose value. In a silly sense that it's not original, and they were a bit of an iconic bike, these. It's funny because when you ride them and you look at a TLR, you look at the weight at about 90 kg, and then you look at a TLR250, which is about 99. Now, this one with mods, and it's quick, it's a good motor. I mean, from the RTL250, no, so the RTL250 is more aggressive to ride than a TLR, different frame structure, and a little bit more tweaked motor, and ignition advance probably a bit better. When you look back to the TLR and you jump on it, and it's not favoritism this, but straight away when I pull throttle of this, especially with the mods, it's up and it seems a lot lighter. But I'm not biased with it. I'm just saying the truth. You know, the head angle on these was supposed to be a bit sharper, but they're hell of an edge stock as well. These, so I think the guy who gets these, as I said in Monday night's video, would probably want to do the footrest mod back, because you're going from approximately about 4 inches to 6 inches, and then I'd just bring the fork stanchions through the yokes. I'd don't think there'll be many a guy who'll modify and cut through these, because hell of a headstock them compared to your TLRs. And that's what I said there. Look, if you look at the tube, now this ain't got the beta footrests on, with that chap again phoning me. This is just a pressed together steel, that's why they rot so much. So we'll have a look at the frames, we'll go over, tell you where we're at, and see what you think of these. Right, back on the frames. Let's hope the phone stops ringing. So, if you're just new into this again, I have to repeat myself because this is a TLR200 frame. It's one of our frames. The customers actually give it to us because it was damaged. I'll show you a drop down photograph, and I have explained in many videos it did have the strap on footrest to bring it back, which goes onto your original piece where your footrest was. He'd used it twice. I powder coated it about a year ago, zinced it first. He fell, the leverage snapped it, and it snapped it straight off. It was a bad break. So the reason we're using this one to get back, it's a full circle is this, as I said, if you've been watching the videos, because you get so sick of everybody saying they're going to do stuff for you. And it's not money, it's just you can't get anyone to do anything. So we've had 2 Fridays on this. Professional welder in, motorcycle enthusiast. He'll be doing them and I'll be finishing them, apprenticed. I've cut the head angle with him, and I'll do that drop down photograph now because this shows you close inside. I did do one video with the camera in as well to show you the rust in these plates, so quick picture of that. Pretty nasty. So that's the worst scenario. So what happens is here, you've got your stop, and then you've got your brake arm through here. So if you just think like to the RTL frames on the tube, these things were never ever meant to be what we do with them now. There were trail bikes. It was Norman from the accounts in his suit used to ride them and then go for picnics on a Sunday with his little sandwich box. They were a trail bike. They were never meant for this shock. So years on, the hulls and everything else fill up with water and pressure washing down. The air vent holes have got to be there, because if not, you'll get engine heat and everything else. You'll get condensation. So it's, you know, sometimes you're best just putting some old gearbox oil in or engine oil in, and it's just every so often, the WD-40, it's in there. So I'm going to show you close up what we've done now, and then we've put the beta hangers on. The only thing we have to do on our last thing is we're going to drop the front end out of mine, because it's going to get a set of Velocity Pro yokes on. So we'll put the front end into this, and we'll just check height just for the footrest, but we've measured everything. Obviously we've got a laser machine, we've got traditional measuring things. We're ticking the boxes on it. So we'll get close up and just show you this. So we've come right in, we've gone up on the plates, got right in. Now what you got to remember with this is, these footrests, if you're doing any yourself, don't go for 10mm, go for 11, because you don't want to put a spacer in there. So 11's an oddball really. So I cut some blanks out, my colleague did, and then you really need to pre-drill them. So it's a bit of setting up, because pigs, if you've got them set. So we've come in, we've gone inside, we've split it, we've gone up inside, we've added a bit here, and then on the inside, which this is what we was doing the first time round, is you come up and you're strengthening the back. So we've got another half an hour to tidy this up. So we're strengthening the plate right the way up. So the other side, we've got that right the way, look, and covered it all coming right the way down. And as again, we've got a wedge into here and then taking it. But that's the worst scenario you're going to have. So we're there now. So the idea of this is that we get to the point that you can send a frame in. We'll do the headstock, the footrest modification. You just buy the hangers and the footrests. Pick your colour. And then, as I said in a previous video, if you mark off what you don't want, any lugs or anything else, I'll cut them in here. Then we'll zinc it, strip it, zinc it, powder coat, zinc it, and then we'll top coat it, zinc everything. I have ceramic coated a few of these, but you've got to have one what's absolutely spotless, the substrate, because we don't have primer. Let's face it, trials, competition machines, off-road machinery, they really do need it. So we'd coat that then in a colour you want, and then send it back out to you, all done. Singing and dancing with 11mm spacers, cut in, head angle to what we like, what we use on the bills, and then let you have it back. So that's basically where we're at. This tomorrow, we'll just be doing a tidy up. We'll be putting the front end, I should think, out of that in, just checking a few things. But while I'm on, I'll just tell you a bit about the headstocks on these. So a few people say to me about when they put these bearings in that, because what you got to remember, the original format, they were on roller bearings, right? And I don't know how many I've actually done, but obviously I get rid of roller bearings because there's people who say I love to take them out and grease them and put my balls back in and all that. But it's a bloody time warp, really, right? I've just been tight. You put taper bearings in the kit. Now, the bearing kits, the latest ones we've got in, I got one yesterday, and the 30 quid for the kit, but they do come with some extra good washers in and plates. So when I got these originally done by a company about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour away from me a couple of years ago, he's one of the only engineering shops that actually got back to me, and he made me a set. Since then I've done work for him, and he hasn't done any more work for it. It's not a case of like I'm not using him, because his service was brilliant and he's used to making these. The thing is, we've got to make sure I had a frame and then the right bearings and time. It takes time, all this. So yesterday I went as if I was the customer at home putting a set of headstocks in. So obviously I had the original cups in where your bearings, your balls go into, right? And smack them out. And the thing is, and I've had this loads of times, you might have had it yourself, on these cups with them been rived and done everything else, or someone's been hitting it with something, you try and take them out clean through the other side. But what you might find is when you take them out, and I will check this, because if you wanted a frame doing, I'll check it at the set. Well, you can't help but check. You look at it and you can see it's tight. So these things come out and you seem to have a bit of a bend in the circle. So what I tend to do is, you're on a 42 or a 43, socket or something old, or a couple of these together like that, to fit them back in and tap them in and out a few times. If you get them on an angle, like on this headstock here, it's not a TLR. If you get one and you put it on an angle and you tap it across there, you can knock the bend out. You can tap them out, and then I tap them in and take them back out, because, could have been painted many times, or they've got a dent, but the amount I've had in. So that's just a little tip on them. But that kit, the 30 quid we sell them for, I'm just reading the label, it's our own Velocity Pro stuff. Good, because you come with these different spacers, which on this one, we just needed a spacer in bottom, then the dust seal. Now, I put these in yesterday. Now, when I first spoke to the gent on building these, was a Pet 8 with some I'd had. And this is only me, with an Allen key under here. So what we've done is that, again, triple clamps, 1, 2, 3, is they come in the 3 parts to me, and I just press them in on press that bottom in. And I don't actually have the Allen key. Now, I like that because I've done it myself. I've been in garage, because these nuts, I leave the soft here, and the tight these, you only get one chance and it goes. So I like these with frosted. So I was when I'd done this with the Nightingale and Velocity Pro, I am going to pay a visit to this gent next week, and I think I'm going to go with these. I think the mint. I think when we get the forks in, obviously I'll be polishing these up, but so if we do get to the point of selling them, I can paint them, I can do any ceramic coat them in a colour to match. But I put them tapers in, put the top in, tighten them up. Obviously you've got the choice then of purchasing either for fat bars or skinny bars, just with the risers. So if I do eventually sell these, but it won't be yet, but I will be using these. So these will be going in the Velocity Pro one or any Velocity Pro bikes we build in here. And then if they do come onto my I'm gonna, but this has made me move forward now, because I've had some bearing kits in, but you're either putting a bike back together and you just don't have the time to fall back. So wait for my colleague to come in tomorrow. We'll have a look at this again. As you can see also on this frame mod, it's all nicely sewn back on this, look. This is what I wanted, so the stops go nice, right? We've got a lovely weld. We come up, we haven't got a great saddle on here. And we've altered the head angle, and that is a preference as well. We seem to have got an happy medium to where we have it. Some different degrees what people, you can have it to what you want, but I think we'd go with the golden rule. If you're getting A-class riders on these, and I've got a tree around the back, and even me riding it, if I can get them all round's a bonus. As I said to you, sometimes when they haven't had the headstock mod and they've just had the footrest mod, the footrest mod's, wow, fantastic. The headstock mod, in my mind, maybe not, because I'm not at a level where I'll be able to ride, probably to notice it. That's all I'm saying. But while the frames are in, that's what will be done. So taken back, kit done, modified, and then bearings if you want to, maybe possibility. If not, are you putting the original Honda yokes back on, like the Velocity's got over there? If we spin it round now, they've got the old school ones on. Again, if you're new to the channel, that was a bike I built we built in here brand new. You can just see I polished that front pipe yesterday. Look at that bling on that. The back box, by the way, on that, I'm going to do it in the original grey. The box, the fire pan underneath, and then leave everything you've seen today. So I think it'll look nice. So that's where we are on the frame. So it's pretty good, that. Long way. And the idea was, it's just so I can say yes again in-house. The only thing I do now, and I had a coded welder, you know, someone who's a professional welder, I should say. The only thing I would say I do now still is my spokes. I might be putting some blue rims on that one over there, but I subbed them out to somebody from Hornsey, and he's an excellent wheel builder. Never get any problems, anything. He knows his offsets, he knows his stuff, and he's into bikes as well, which also helps. So I think at the end, apart from this one you're gazing your eyes over, we've done a bit of a chrome effect look here to put a base top on there. We've actually changed it now since we've had issues we're doing with this frame and what we're doing, so giving it another coat of zinc, and then this customer wants it in fuchsia, so we'll see how it comes out in its fuchsia colour, powdered again. That's zinc, which that frame there would have a zinc coating on, you know. And again, we'll keep running. We might move this video now, I think, to Thursdays. RTL's on Monday night. Tried to cram a lot in, babbling on today. Hope you're all still awake. Wife's shaking her head a bit. And see where we go on the next one. As I say, we hope to keep on with these videos. I would give you notice if we were going to stop for any reason. But at the same time, I'm just trying to show you, just to give you some idea, little TL tank there, look, in, right? Because that's thick rust with holes in the tank. When you look at your conventional, what is it there? Just come back a bit and look at your ultrasonic machines. We call this a dirty workshop side. And then when you look at 6,000 watt ultrasonic machines with a gear in there, They get quite heavy going. But I do modify a few of them special little ultrasonic tanks for a couple of mates of mine, just to ramp them up a bit, but they're adequate for little jobs. So hope you like that one. Again, Phil, if you're watching, make sure that's the biggest bunch of flowers to grovel tonight. And based in Scarborough, North Yorkshire, 01723 370 399. Appreciate your comments. If you subscribe, fantastic. If there's anything you need to know, just give me a shout and I'll try and help you out. See you on the next one.